The stagecoach wheels ground to a halt in front of the dusty depot, and Violet May Henley took a shuddering breath before stepping into the harsh afternoon sun of Copper Falls, Wyoming. At 26, she had learned to brace herself for the inevitable stares and whispers that followed her wherever she went. Her substantial frame, draped in the best traveling dress she could afford, still drew the kind of attention she wished she could avoid. The other passengers had been polite enough during the long journey, but she had caught their sidelong glances and heard their hushed conversations. A woman of her size traveling alone to marry a stranger was evidently a source of fascination and, she suspected, amusement for most people. Violet clutched the worn leather portfolio containing her correspondence with Marcus Webb, a widowed rancher who had placed an advertisement for a wife in the matrimonial section of the Denver newspaper. His letters had been kind and practical, mentioning his need for help with his young daughter and household, with no flowery words about beauty or romance. She had been honest about her appearance in her responses, describing herself as a woman of generous proportions with a gentle nature and domestic skills. He had seemed satisfied with this description, and she had dared to hope that perhaps finally someone might value her for qualities beyond physical appearance. As she stood beside her modest trunk, scanning the small crowd for any sign of Marcus Webb, Violet became aware of the reactions around her. A group of well-dressed ladies near the general store had stopped their conversation entirely, staring with undisguised shock. Two cowboys leaning against the saloon doors were nudging each other and grinning in a way that made her cheeks burn with familiar shame. "Well, I'll be," one of them said, his voice carrying clearly across the street. "That must be Webb's mail-order bride. Poor fellow's gonna need a bigger wagon." The laughter that followed felt like a physical blow. Violet had endured such cruelty before, but it never became easier. She lifted her chin and straightened her shoulders, a gesture that had become second nature over the years. "Miss Henley?" A deep voice beside her made her turn. The man approaching was tall and lean, with sun-weathered skin and kind brown eyes beneath the brim of his hat. His clothes were clean but worn, marking him as a working man, and he carried himself with quiet dignity. "I'm Marcus Webb." Violet studied his face carefully, looking for the disappointment or regret she had learned to recognize. Instead, she saw only polite attention and perhaps a hint of nervousness that matched her own. "Mr. Webb," she replied, offering a small curtsy. "I'm pleased to meet you at last." Marcus glanced toward her trunk, then back at her face. "I hope the journey wasn't too difficult." "It's a long way from Kansas." Before Violet could respond, a small figure came running around the corner of the depot. A girl of perhaps 7 years, with tangled brown braids and a dress that had seen better days, skidded to a stop beside Marcus and stared up at Violet with unconcealed curiosity. "Papa?" the child said in a voice loud enough for half the street to hear. "She's pretty," the simple declaration, spoken with the honest directness that only children possess, fell into the afternoon air like a stone into still water. The cowboy's laughter died abruptly. The ladies by the general store looked startled, as if they had misheard. Even Marcus seemed surprised by his daughter's pronouncement. Violet felt tears prick at her eyes. When was the last time anyone had called her pretty? When was the last time anyone had looked at her and seen beauty instead of something to be mocked or pitied? "Thank you, sweetheart," she managed, her voice slightly hoarse. "What's your name?" "I'm Lily Mae Webb," the girl announced proudly. "Are you going to be my new mama?" Marcus cleared his throat, color rising in his weathered cheeks. "Lily, we talked about this. Miss Henley is here to visit first, to see if we might suit each other." But Lily was still staring at Violet with the intense focus of childhood. "You have kind eyes," she said matter-of-factly. "Mama had kind eyes too before she went to heaven. Papa says kind eyes are the most important thing." The small crowd that had gathered to witness the mail-order bride's arrival began to disperse, their entertainment apparently over now that the cowboy's daughter had proclaimed the newcomer pretty. Violet noticed how several people seemed to look at her differently now, as if seeing her through Lily's eyes had somehow changed their perception. Marcus hefted her trunk with ease, gesturing toward a sturdy wagon. "Come on then, let's get you settled. Lily, help Miss Henley up to the wagon seat." As they drove through the main street of Copper Falls, Lily kept up a steady stream of chatter, pointing out landmarks and sharing observations with the unfiltered honesty of childhood. She told Violet about their ranch, about her pet chicken named Henrietta, and about how her papa made the worst biscuits in all of Wyoming territory. "Papa tries real hard," Lily confided, "but everything he cooks tastes like leather. Mrs. Patterson says it's on account of him being a man, but I think it's because he's sad. People don't cook good when they're sad." Violet glanced at Marcus, who was concentrating on driving with perhaps more attention than the familiar road required. "How long ago did your wife pass?" she asked gently. 2 years come October," he replied. Fever took her quick. Lily barely remembers her mother, which is probably a blessing and a curse both. The ranch house, when they reached it, was larger than Violet had expected, but showed clear signs of being managed by a man with too many responsibilities and not enough time. The porch needed sweeping, laundry hung unevenly on the line, and she could see through the open door that the main room was tidy but sparse. "It's not much," Marcus said, helping her down from the wagon, "but it's honest work and good land. The cattle are healthy and we get by just fine." Lily had already disappeared into the house, and Violet could hear her moving around inside with purposeful energy. When they entered, they found the child attempting to straighten cushions and clear scattered papers from the kitchen table. "I was trying to make it nice for Miss Violet," Lily explained earnestly. "Papa, can she see my room? Can she see Henrietta? Can she stay for supper?" "Slow down, little grasshopper," Marcus chuckled, and Violet caught a glimpse of the father he was when not weighted down by responsibility and grief. "Let Miss Henley catch her breath first." Over the next few hours, as Lily gave her an enthusiastic tour of every inch of the property, Violet began to understand the dynamics of this small family. Marcus was a good father, but overwhelmed by the demands of raising a daughter while managing a ranch. Lily was bright and affectionate, but desperately hungry for feminine attention and guidance. The house was functional, but lacked the small touches that made a building into a home. When supper time arrived, Violet watched Marcus attempt to prepare a simple meal of beans and cornbread. True to Lily's warning, the results were barely edible, though both father and daughter ate without complaint. "May I?" Violet asked, gesturing toward the stove. Marcus looked surprised but stepped aside. "I'd be grateful for the help." Working with ingredients she found in the sparse pantry, Violet managed to create a proper meal. Tender biscuits, beans seasoned with herbs she discovered growing wild behind the house, and gravy that actually tasted like something besides flour and water. As they ate, she watched Lily's face light up with delight at flavors she had clearly been missing. "This is the best supper ever," Lily declared, reaching for her third biscuit. "Papa, Miss Violet cooks like an angel." After Lily was tucked into bed, Marcus and Violet sat on the front porch, watching stars emerge in the clear Wyoming sky. The silence between them was comfortable rather than awkward, filled with the peaceful sounds of evening settling over the ranch. "She likes you," Marcus observed quietly. "Lily doesn't warm up to strangers usually. She's been cautious since her mother died." Violet chose her words carefully. "She's a wonderful child." "You've done well with her." Marcus was quiet for a long moment. "I'll be honest with you, Miss Henley. When I saw you step off that stage today, I was surprised. Your letters didn't quite prepare me for—" He struggled for diplomatic words. "For how large I am," Violet supplied matter-of-factly. "I understand if you've changed your mind, Mr. Webb. It wouldn't be the first time." "No," Marcus said quickly. "No, that's not what I meant. I meant I wasn't prepared for how wrong those folks in town would be about you. Lily saw it right off. You are pretty. Not just in your face, though that's true enough. Pretty in your manner, in how you treated my daughter, in the way you made our house feel like a home just by being in it." Violet felt her throat tighten with emotion she hadn't expected. "Your daughter's kindness meant the world to me today. I've grown accustomed to different reactions." "Then you've been around the wrong people," Marcus said firmly. "Beauty comes in all forms, and anyone too blind to see that isn't worth your concern." Over the following days, Violet settled into the rhythm of ranch life with surprising ease. She reorganized the kitchen, mended Lily's dresses, and established routines that brought order to the household. More importantly, she and Lily began to form the kind of bond that develops between a lonely child and an adult who truly sees and values her. Lily followed Violet everywhere, chattering about everything and nothing, helping with chores, and soaking up the feminine attention she had been missing. In return, Violet found herself experiencing the joy of nurturing a child. of being needed and valued for her capabilities rather than judged for her appearance. Marcus watched these developments with growing amazement. His daughter, who had been quiet and withdrawn since her mother's death, was blooming under Violet's patient care. The house itself seemed brighter, filled with the sounds of laughter and domestic contentment that had been missing for too long. On the 5th evening of Violet's visit, as she was reading Lily a bedtime story, the child looked up with serious eyes. "Miss Violet, are you going to marry Papa and stay with us forever?" Violet smoothed the girl's hair, her heart full of affection for this bright, loving child. "Would you like that, sweetheart?" "More than anything," Lily said earnestly. "You make Papa smile again, and you make the best biscuits ever, and you're teaching me to braid my hair proper. Please don't leave us like Mama did." The innocent plea broke Violet's heart and filled it simultaneously. "Oh, honey, your Mama didn't leave you on purpose. She loved you so much, but sometimes people get sick and have to go to heaven even when they don't want to. But you won't get sick, will you?" Lily's voice was small and worried. "I'm very healthy," Violet assured her. "And if your Papa asked me to stay, I would like nothing more than to be your Mama and take care of both of you." The next morning, Marcus asked Violet to walk with him to check on the cattle in the far pasture. As they stood watching the peaceful scene of grazing animals against the backdrop of distant mountains, he turned to her with an expression of nervous determination. "Violet," he began, then stopped and started again. "Miss Henley, these past few days have shown me what our life could be like together. You've made Lily happier than she's been since her mother died. And you've brought something to our home that I didn't even realize we were missing." Violet waited, hardly daring to breathe. "I know this isn't a romantic courtship," Marcus continued. "I know I can't offer you fancy things or an easy life. But I can offer you a home where you're valued and respected, a daughter who already loves you like her own mother, and a husband who sees your true worth." He paused, removing his hat and running his fingers through his hair. "Will you marry me, Violet? Will you help me raise Lily and build something good here?" Violet looked at this honest, hard-working man who had seen past society's shallow judgments to recognize her value as a person. She thought of Lily's bright smile and trusting affection, of the satisfaction she had found in caring for this small family, of the sense of belonging that had grown stronger each day. "Yes, Marcus," she said, her voice steady despite the tears in her eyes. "Yes, I will marry you." The wedding took place 2 weeks later in the small church that served the scattered ranch families of the area. Violet wore a dress of deep blue silk that she had sewn herself, and Lily, serving as her attendant, had woven wildflowers into a crown for her hair. As they spoke their vows, Violet reflected on the journey that had brought her to this moment. She had come west expecting practical arrangement based on mutual need, but she had found something far more precious. A family that valued her for who she was, a child who saw her beauty without reservation, and a husband who appreciated her true worth. When the ceremony concluded and they walked back toward their ranch as a newly united family, Lily skipped between them, holding both their hands. "Now we're a real family again," she announced happily. "And Miss Violet, Mama Violet, is the prettiest mama in all of Wyoming." As laughter and agreement rippled through their small wedding party, Violet realized that beauty, like love, was often found in the most unexpected places by those wise enough to look with their hearts instead of their eyes. In the innocent wisdom of a child who had proclaimed her pretty, she had found not just acceptance but the deep, abiding love that transforms lives and creates true homes. The jeers and laughter of that first day in Copper Falls seemed like they had happened to someone else, in another lifetime. What mattered now was this. She was home, she was loved, and in the eyes of the people who mattered most, she was beautiful exactly as she was.